Me too.
We'll call this ONWASA Board of Directors meeting for July 5th, 16th, 2026 to order. I'll ask that everybody stand as Reverend Brian Young, Senior Pastor of Love and Grace and Mercy Church, provide the invocation, and we say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, today for, God, just this day that you have made. Father, we thank you, God, for this meeting tonight. God, we ask you, oh Lord, that your Holy Spirit will be here in the presence of, God, this council. God, we ask you that you will give wisdom, God, to the leaders, God, those on this board, God, the leaders of ONWASA. Father, God, that you will bless ONWASA, Father, that it will grow and prosper, Lord, that it will, God, just become such a entity in our communities, oh Lord, that we will see its value in everything that we do, God, and we'll appreciate everything that it is for our community. God, we ask you to bless, God, tonight this meeting. Father God, move upon our minds and hearts for that which needs to be done and help us to do it, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. And face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I ask that you turn your cell phones off or vibrate. Individuals making presentations or public comments are asked to adjust the microphone as necessary and speak directly into the microphone. This meeting is being recorded. And we need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, moving into our item 3 business, A, 3A. Mr. Eric.
Sir, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, directors. First item on the agenda this evening is motion to approve some purchasing policy updates. The purchasing policy was last amended in 2018, adding uniform guidance. So we're making a couple of the more significant changes in here. The first being on page 4, related to our travel authorizations. Falls a little bit more along. We're more restrictive in our procedures than our policy, so it's moving that requirement for that authorization to be received prior to the travel authorization instead of 2 weeks prior to the travel. Next is the approval levels. Matching those up a little bit more closely with general statute and the procurement policies of the state, with purchases under $30,000 being delegated to staff, including myself. Purchases above $30,000, but under those board limitations of $90,000 for equipment purchases and $500,000 for construction would still require the authorization of the CEO in addition to my authorizations. And finally, the addition of reverse auction as a procurement option. That was really the precipice for making these amendments was our desire to use reverse auctions for procurements, particularly in the acquisition of some of our chemicals. We've got chemical bids coming out. We typically solicit those as we do any other with an RFP. Reverse auction just gives us another tool to be able to hopefully bring some of those costs down in some of our neighboring authorities and municipalities. It's worked favorably with vendor engagement as well as getting those costs down. So hopefully that would be a real benefit to ONWASA in cost. And it's not limited to chemical bids, but that is a significant cost for us for our treatment facilities. So that's obviously where we'd like to start. And, depending upon the success of that, possibly look at it for some other bidding opportunities. I did also, it included some small verbiage changes. You'll see on your strike through some spelling corrections, some grammatical corrections, housekeeping type things. I did want to let you guys know that throughout this process, we're we've identified a need for a comprehensive update that we would prepare over the next fiscal year and bring to you guys at a later date, a comprehensive update to this purchasing policy. But this would certainly include the reverse auction and make those other adjustments that we discussed. So this evening, just asking to consider a motion to approve the purchasing policy updates as presented. And as always, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Would you point out the section on the reverse auction, please?
Yes, sir. It's on page 13.
Oh, I appreciate the red line.
Yep. It's on
That makes
page
it- that makes it a lot
13 is where
easier.
it is added.
I'm sorry, what page?
Page 13.
Okay. And that's a whole new section, right?
That is a new section
That's
that's
what I
added.
can find. It's not red.
The approvals thresholds that I discussed are located on page 6, and that travel authorization is on page 4. Sorry, I failed to mention that.
Just a quick question for Brett. Are we okay definition-wise on what a reverse auction is for this?
Yes, it tracks the language directly out of the statute.
Okay, thank you.
I wonder, do we ever have travel that comes in at the last minute, like last minute training that people see and that need to, that they may need to go to? Would this prohibit any kind of last minute travel?
You know, in my experience, there hasn't been in that instance, you know, these professional developments are planned well in advance and identified. They're messaged out really well. I know the listservs, at least that I'm a part of, they share it months in advance, and that's been historically the case. If they're on his-
Does Frankie have the ability to override that? If it's an emergency, he's got to send somebody away to pick something up. Does he have the authority to do that?
I think they're,
I thought that's where you're going with this, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You
kind
know,
of
it's
like,
more of an emergency, not, oh, I've
You never know.
got something scheduled in September, I can figure that one out.
Right, I think Frankie could approve any emergency. This is more, the way I understood it, is just to make sure that the policy is matching their processes.
Right.
Which is something you always want to do, right? You want to make sure that that policy mirrors what you're actually
I mean,
undertaking.
Brett, as long as you're comfortable with that, I mean, you always want to have, he should have the right, you know, what we have is a limit on the dollars or something like that, but in an emergency, those things changes. And I thought that's where you were going with that, Royce, too, to pick that up, the one-offs.
you have any other comment, question, discussion? Can we get a motion, excuse me, a motion to approve the changes in the purchasing policy?
So moved?
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask for discussion one more time. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that passes, and Mr. Adams, you're up again.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next action item is sole source purchase authorization for AMI meter standardization. Again, general statute allows as one of the overriding considerations for bidding requirements is a standardization and compatibility clause, and that is what we are seeking to achieve here. As you guys are well aware, we've introduced 2 project pilots for our AMI project, and this would allow us the flexibility to include those throughout all of our system. Now that we have the reading capabilities to deploy AMI throughout, it would avoid us from receiving another compatible, or not compatible, but integratable meter that lacks all of the functionality that we've identified within the Census brand and why we chose them for our AMI deployment, including alarms, diagnostics, program compatibility, and those advanced features that you guys are all aware of, the ability to read pressure, temperature, shut on, shut off valves within the meter. So this evening, we're asking for a motion to allow the advanced metering infrastructure system as an overriding consideration and support the purchase of AMI meters from Census, a Xylem brand, and therefore authorize the procurement on a sole source basis from Ferguson Enterprises as the authorized distributor of Census products in the state of North Carolina. You'll see attached to your agenda was that letter from Census identifying Ferguson as now being the sole provider of Census brand in the state of North Carolina.
Quick question, then.
Thank you.
I mean, just being a sole source acquisition per se, I take it the costs you feel are fair and reasonable in line with industry standards and so forth?
So the cost on the census meter on some of the ones we've seen has come back higher, but a lot of that is, related to those additional functionalities that aren't present in those alternative meters. So
Let's see, can we get a motion
So move.
and a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. I would say that the AMI, in my opinion, the AMI meter program is one of the smartest things that we ever done, and the farther along we get, the more it's going to save us money. And it only makes sense to have standard meters. I hope they're comparable in price to others, but I don't, once you get started, I don't know how you can mix the different.
I guess the only real risk you have besides price is if something happens to the company, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And then what do you do then? So,
That's true.
I also figured that our management's smart enough that if they, all of a sudden the price tripled, they'd look at a different option.
Yeah, and something you have to
Right?
consider
I mean,
is
sole
that
source doesn't mean you have to buy, it just means that we're authorizing them to do it. Correct, Brett?
Correct.
when you're looking at it, it's more than just the meter cost. It's the infrastructure cost, the backhaul cost, the software cost. So sometimes you can find a cheaper meter, but then you got to have maybe perhaps more repeaters in the system to pick up those meters to get them to our system. So
maintenance and all
it's
that
a balancing act.
are those meters kind of universal in that, you know what I mean? Can you, is the software similar? Do you understand what I'm saying? Can you get multiple different styles of meters that would work with our software, or is it just like one? Do you get what I'm?
They, of course, they have different size and types of meters
They have different sizes
within
and
their
types,
own
but
brand.
you know,
And they
Yes.
can back read other meters. That's in fact what we're doing now. We're reading our existing meters with their software package that we use in our readers. But you can only get a certain amount of data from that meter. You can get the reading for that event, I guess, but there's some other things that we like to use the software for that you got to have that particular device in the system to do that with. So, but yeah, there is some cross compatibility, and there's these things have wires that plug into their transmitter. So in the event, maybe in the future where the software goes out, maybe perhaps there's another device that we can plug into these meters that will be compatible with a new software. So
So we got like 5,000 or 6,000 of these things installed now.
we've got about 3,000 done now on the island.
3,000?
And then our next agenda item is for the next phase, which would be another 8,000 meters on the mainland around the Sneads Ferry area. But this,
Bringing out to get ahead of ourselves, but is the goal to get these standard across the board everywhere,
Yep.
100%?
that's right. And that's kind of what this item takes care of, because so as we start to add new meters, so we add 1,000 plus meters a year, they're already being sprinkled in the system. And our EasyLink reader system can read these AMI meters, the drive-by system. But once the AMI infrastructure is deployed further into county, those meters are already in place. And we won't have to go replace basically brand-new meters with the AMI meter.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Only
All
because I probably have
opposed?
30 more questions.
Mr. Adams? you
We've
got the
covered
show
much of
tonight.
the next agenda item, but it is for the third phase of the advanced metering infrastructure. As Mr. Howard mentioned, the phase one was in fiscal year '25, about 1,000 in that old Settlers Beach region. In 2026, the project ordinance was amended, adding about $2 million, which covered the remainder of the island to North Topsail. Phase 3 will continue that project onto the mainland and add about 8,600 additional AMI meters in that Sneads Ferry area, bringing the total AMI network to about 12,000 in that one area, or about 20% of our customer base. This project was included in our CIP, so it had been considered in our budget ordinance approved for this fiscal year, as well as the rate and fee schedule. So, this evening, we're asking for a motion to adopt the advanced metering infrastructure amended project ordinance and corresponding budget amendment, as well as consider a motion to proceed with Census Ferguson for the acquisition and installation. So, if there's any additional questions, be happy to answer.
Can we do that in one motion?
That's correct.
Can we get a motion
As so moved.
and a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just one comment. Over time, this is going to be very advantageous to us and to our customers. Because the other thing it does on a real-time basis is if we've got a leak in somebody's house or there's a problem there that we couldn't pick up except in the monthly stuff. So it becomes a safety issue too. So congratulations on moving this. This technology benefits the company and the users.
Yeah. And the more advanced meters have the ability to give us pressure readings and temperature, whether
Oh,
we
wow.
need it or not. So we can read real-time pressure. We did it through the 4th of July holiday out in the system that already had it. So that's what I'm also looking forward to, having those sprinkled out in the system.
Wow.
And the valves, the really advanced ones have the ability to remotely turn off and turn on. So
So we got all of the beach, all of the island now?
pretty much, yeah, every bit of the island's done.
So when we get pressure complaints, we can,
Dial right in and look. And
We already had one, but it had nothing to do, but it wasn't on the island. It was
Right.
Sneed's Ferry, right?
Right.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank
All
you.
right, Mr. Adams, you get to sit down and wait for Mr. Lohr.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Good evening, directors. Good to see you again. The first item I have is Southeast Regional Wastewater Treatment Design Build Expansion, Contract 2 Early Works Package 3C. This item consists of construction of the new electrical building and equipment to support the plant expansion and meet the schedule requirements. The early works package is needed due to the long lead times for production of the equipment, such as emergency generators, control panels, PLCs, et cetera, that may require up to or maybe sometimes longer than a year to procure. The major work items are construction of the main electrical precast building. It's a 30-foot by 60-foot structure. Includes foundation, equipment pads, overhead doors, and HVAC system. It also provides a test and install the main electrical switchgear, provide, test, and install the emergency generator #1 and the associated fuel system, provide, test, and install the various VFDs required for the MBR equipment and the effluent pumps. The requested action is to consider a motion to approve the contract amendment 2 for the early works package 3C in the amount of $7,890,068.18 for a total amount of $40,080,848.61. With T.A. Loving and the Wooten Company Progressive Design Build Team for the wastewater treatment expansion project EWP3C, and authorize CEO to execute the contract, any additional documents that might be required.
Get a motion? And a second?
I got a question.
Okay.
Is this over and above the contract that we had to build the plant, to do the plant work?
That's within the initial budget.
So it's within the budget. Is it a change order, Dave? Yeah. So it's a change order,
It's an amendment to the original contract that we signed?
but it's not exactly a change order in the actual design of the plant?
No.
It's like a codicil.
Because we hadn't got to 100% or 60% design. These are early works packages, so we're still designing the final product, but in order to stay on schedule, this is an early works package, so we actually haven't got the final total design done yet.
Just a comment, it sounds like we're just being proactive in this situation, and as we all know, the cost of equipment just gets more and more expensive, so anything we can do to get ahead and stay ahead of that seems like it's a win-win for the project overall.
Well, I just
Good question.
don't want us to have did a bid on something, and then all of a sudden now we start doing change orders and it costs us more and more. I know prices go up, but I was always fearful of all of a sudden now we're going to need change orders, and now it's going to cost more and more, and that's what has bothered me about accepting this whole thing.
Well, this is not a change order, it's part of the initial cost estimate.
And I think that was discussed when I was there in the bids about buying stuff earlier to save money if they needed to.
Yeah, everybody talking about all the
As
different.
long as it's not
If you can
a
get-
change
Yeah.
order, that's something that we weren't planning on, I understand.
Early works package.
Okay. I don't know if I got a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second. All right. Is there any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Mr. Lohr, you're up again.
Thank you. The second one is the Dixon Production Wells D4R and D12 and the raw water transmission pipeline. This item consists of two single prime contracts, 1A and 1B. We split the production well construction and the pipeline construction into two separate contracts to encourage participation. And, for the pipeline, we got 14 bidders, which is, since I've been here, that's the most I've seen on some of these projects. So this consists of construction of new raw water production wells and construction of approximately 2,200 linear feet of 16-inch, 4,550 linear feet of 12-inch C900 pipe to provide additional raw water to the Dixon treatment plant. The initial testing for these wells indicates they're each capable of approximately 1,500 gallons per minute. This will be transmitted to the Dixon treatment plant via the raw water transmission line to be constructed to connect to the existing 16-inch transmission at our well D10, which is located just off of Route 50. The project will include following major work items: construction, testing, and startup of ONWASA's raw water transmission line from well sites D4R and D12, connecting to the existing 16-inch, as I mentioned earlier. This will include the installation of the 2,200 linear feet of 16-inch pipe, 4,550 linear feet of the 12-inch C900 pipeline. Also, for power and controls, there will be 6,750 linear feet of 1.5-inch HDPE conduit and associated appurtenances. We're going to do this pipeline via open cut. It also will consist of constructing, testing, and startup of two new raw water production wells, D4R and D12. The well sites are located just also off of Route 50, northwest of the town of Holly Ridge. So the action requested is to consider a motion to approve the project ordinance and proceed with the approval of the construction contracts for the construction of two production wells to AC Schultes of Carolina Incorporated and the transmission pipeline to Carolina Utilities LLC in the amounts of $2,589,701 and $612,270 to those contractors respectively, and to authorize the CEO to execute the contracts and any additional documents that might be required in connection with this action.
All right. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion on that one?
I have a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman. How far are we from the plume of the contaminated water from the Holly Ridge, Camp Davis?
Probably a few thousand feet. These wells are further north of our two existing wells, which are a little bit closer, and the reason we have the 2 sentinel wells to pick up any contamination.
I'm just concerned that the 1,500 gallons per minute is a lot of water, and I'm
It
just
is.
wondering what effect that might have on that plume of contaminated water. Would that move it over quicker? I'm just curious.
We monitor that, and we utilize the sentinel wells to determine that.
Okay.
And we get testing results from the Navy on their well sites as well. So we have our consultant GMA take a look at that periodically just to ensure that we're not seeing the migration in our direction as opposed to the other direction.
The D10 is the one we monitor, isn't it? Isn't that the one? Which well is it that we kind of keep an eye on with your testing? The area,
D10 and D11.
D11. Yeah, I
there-
thought that's why I was.
Yeah, that's why,
Yeah.
that's what triggered it. I saw
Yes,
the
sir.
D10, I was just curious.
It's about a mile, it's just over a mile from the end of the
Okay.
runway.
Well, our consultants have told us that the plume is going, the opposite way, is going north away from us.
Gradient from that
Right.
that aquifer is moving the other
And
way.
it's above the level that we're pulling from.
It's in a shallower aquifer than the aquifer that we pull from.
What's the Navy's long-range plan? Do nothing? Is that what is that what we think
Not
is
sure I
probably
know
what
what
they're going
that
to
is.
do?
Planning stage.
They're going to release a comprehensive study on it. Me and Royce actually attended a meeting several months ago. I still haven't seen the actual study, but it's the largest one they've ever done as far as number of pages that's going to be released. So there'll be a lot of information there. I think they do have some plans for remediation for that area. But they have been very cooperative in providing us with details. In fact, I just got another layer of samples this week from those monitoring wells that are in between our wells and the area of concern.
Do we have any hope that they might compensate us for the damage to our pumping capability?
Well, the reality is we've brought it back almost to, is Seth in here? We're pretty much back to
Okay.
scheduled or designed capacity for D10 and 11.
Okay, so-
Based on
so
our,
we really,
Yeah,
even
we-
though we had to.
We stopped it.
Stopped it
Yeah.
and slowed it down for a while.
to get a better handle of what was going on.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't abandon them, so we are back to using those wells at a pretty good rate. One thing I'll add is we rotate the use of those wells. So we're not going to be running all 4 wells at the same time. So they'll run in sort of batches so that we don't create a
So we don't
drawdown.
don't start sucking it our way.
Right.
Okay.
It'll be,
All right, thank you, sir. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Mr. Howard, this one is yours.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Lord.
sir.
Speaking of the base, sent this in to the board this week, and I've sent you another draft version based on some feedback from our director, Herbert from Swansboro, who actually very familiar with the inner workings of the base and some of the things that we're going to be challenged with there. So what you see here is a request to seek some partnership with the Marine Corps and possibly seeking some additional funding for wastewater treatment capacity in our region, and possibly expanding that capacity for the existing agreement that we have with them. As you know, this has been a topic of discussion for many years, most specifically now that we're about to turn on our Swansboro force main that'll be adding more flow to that agreement. So I did, since we formed this request to the board, I have spoken directly with some of the leadership there on the base, and I think I shared that with you all in an email late this afternoon, but I think one of the strategies is possibly go to them through their CPG group, and I apologize, I don't know exactly the acronyms breakdown, but that's the group of elected officials and the command leadership to discuss this at that level. To my knowledge, it hasn't been a topic of discussion for that group in the past, so perhaps that's a way to garner some local support, and then from that discussion decide if we need to go further up, so to speak, to seek this type of federal funding. And that's kind of, Royce and I talked about it. We met earlier with on this, and I think he's talked to you all sort of one-on-one. So That's what we're asking here, maybe as some support or a motion to authorize to finalize the letter based on the draft that you've received and submit that to the leadership at the base.
We've had some lively discussion on this matter. I've talked to all of you, and I frankly, I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, but we're here to discuss it tonight. We'll, of course, do what this board wants to do. If this board wants us to, you've read the draft letter. If you guys want us to prepare this letter and get it as far up the chain of command as we can possibly get it, then we will pursue that goal. But that's why we're here and with it on the agenda, because I really need you guys' input, because, we've been dealing with this for years, and we can't get the clarification that we need from the military. I don't know that we ever will. So I don't know if it's a different direction we need to take, but let's just talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, I got a few questions.
Okay.
I understand we didn't initiate this. The ONWASA, nobody on the ONWASA board initiated it. Somebody outside the ONWASA board initiated it.
Right.
Which would have been nice if the board had known that somebody was wanting to push this through. Does our demographics and our population growth dictate that we need to build that big a plant in that area?
It certainly
The way, I don't know how growth is up there in Swansboro and Hubert area, but I know in Sneed's Ferry and Holly Ridge Stump Sound that I believe the growth is going to be to where when that plant's finished down there, we're going to be out of capacity, because if anybody rides down there, everywhere they go, they're starting to build condos and everything else. I think the growth is going to, for our area, is going to be more than that plant can handle, and that's why I was wondering if the growth in that area is equal to or greater than the growth in the Stump Sound area.
As a percentage, it's probably very similar. I don't know, gallon for gallon, it's not the same, but just to give you the numbers, we're currently sending roughly 400,000 gallons per day to the base through our Piney Green connection. We'll send an additional 400,000 coming from Swansboro, so roughly 800,000. Within that same connection, we have the city of Jacksonville, who has a growth area that they're interested in expanding into. So they help actually partner with us to get this pipeline in place initially. So they have a sort of a stake in the game for that. So when we were looking at designing a replacement for Swansboro, I think the study was looking at a 1 to 1.5 MGD plant. And since we had that potential capacity at the base, the alternative was to pipe it to the base. So we were, at the time, thinking we were going to have 3.5 million gallons per day total capacity at the base. We now have 2 million gallons capacity. So the number that we would need, I would think, would be somewhere between that 2 to 3.5 million gallons per day, unless when we're talking to the city, they see that they need more and would like to make that project larger and help with that. So I'm not sure if that totally answers your question, but that's the amount of gallons per day that we feel like that area could see in the growth.
So that would include giving more capacity to Jacksonville.
If they came to us and said that they like to partner to make that project larger for their growth area, then yeah, it could, very well could.
I would defer to the judgment of the chairman and you on this. My question is more about tactics. My experience in these type of things is once you turn that letter over, you have started the process. Versus if you walk in with a draft letter and you walk through stuff with them and you get something that's more, if somebody there is behind this or in favor of doing it, they may want a different language on there. I mean, I have no problem with authorizing you guys to go and take a letter and whatever you want to do, but it's just my experience tactics-wise is you want it almost to be their letter. So they'll defend it to the death, as we used to say, right? And if you've already exhausted that, that's fine. But I think to Royce's point, to the chairman's point, is you got to get an answer on this thing one way or another, or we're going to be spending money, right? Isn't it that simple?
I would make a couple of comments. Is number one, I think we just, this afternoon, got another opportunity maybe with local commanding generals that's kind of opened up just this afternoon that might give us an in from a more local side.
Pathway.
But the other thing I say is, anything that we get out of the federal government to fill a gap in treatment capacity, it frees up funding, capital that we can use somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So I don't see it as a Holly Ridge versus Swansboro issue, because if we can get
It's cash.
money to build a plant in Swansboro or Hubert, then that frees up capital for the needs in Holly Ridge. So
Well, I'm
I
not
don't wanna-
necessarily talking about Holly Ridge, I'm talking about Stump Sound Township.
Sure.
All of Stump Sound Township.
Well, I agree.
More so in Sneads Ferry than Holly Ridge. But I'm just apprehensive
That's-
about the dealings we've had with the base before. It's never gone through. They've got a huge plant over there that's, they got, you said 15 million gallon plant
It's
that
permitted for 15 million gallons.
they don't use hardly any, a lower part of it. I'm just, and then too, getting back to the fact that somebody else was negotiating outside of ONWASA, that bothers me.
Yeah.
That's out of somebody's,
Right.
it's nice to get money if somebody wants to give us money, but for somebody else to negotiate for us, I don't like that.
We have a new resource in Mr. Herbert here. I'd like to hear what his perspective is on this.
I was going to offer, I think, I'm not sure the history behind when the last time we had formal discussions with the base about this, but a lot has changed in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, especially since Hurricane Florence, with the rebuilding of a lot of infrastructure and structures on base, a lot of it ahead of schedule. Funds that we received that were well ahead of schedules that we didn't think we were going to receive into the out years. So an immense amount of construction has been done on the base in recent years across, whether that be barracks, headquarters, critical infrastructure, and so forth. So the base may, and I certainly don't want to sound like I'm speaking for them, may have that extra capacity or opportunity to assist us where they didn't have the last time that this was discussed. And when I read the letter, I think there is two key components. Obviously, we're seeking assistance on the federal level for funding for requirements, valid requirements, and then the other piece is the capacity piece. And I think we all obviously value the strong relationship ONWASA has and the municipalities and the county at large has with both the installations. And I can see this as a natural extension of that, having these discussions and restarting that process, for lack of better words. There's some new faces on the base. To your point, Royce, there's new general officers there. The base commander is taking over command next Wednesday. A new commander, so there may be opportunities to at least introduce ourselves and make him and the staff aware of the current issues and for lack of a better word, see if it gains some traction. So I think it's, but I think the point that's been made by some people, and Rick said it, I think, well, is that submitting this based on maybe some staff work that was done outside of this group, I don't know it would be really wise, because I think if this is received at the headquarters level, the first thing they're going to do is turn and ask Camp Lejeune, what do you think about this? Or were you aware of this? And I think the last thing we would want to do is surprise anybody, for lack of better words, because I don't think that's the relationship we have with the base at all. And I think it's a very good one, and we want to maintain that. But I certainly think reopening the dialogue with them would be appropriate.
Well, it's always been, and Royce knows this has been my concern, that any time we put our eggs in working with Camp Lejeune, that at any time the base decides we can't do it no more, then we're out. And we've got to find another direction. If we can do something that we don't have to rely on somebody else, and that's, I'm just, I'm not quite ready for this, and I haven't even talked to my board yet to where they're ready for me to say yes on, because my mayor hadn't even been notified about anything like this. So I don't know where I actually stand on this right now.
The reality of it is we have a contract right now with the base, and that's where, that Mr. Hines is coming from. And I'm all about trying to get help and partner with, what help we can from the federal level and all that stuff, and spend money that's, not coming from our ratepayers. So I'd be all about something, and working together. But the reality of it is, and again, it's too early to think about what's in my mind right now. To your point, we're just used to this little game that we play. And the reality of it is, I'm not opposed to opening conversations with, new command and just, whatever that leads to. But there is the thought of, again, it's too early to think the way I'm thinking, but we also don't know where this goes if we were to do some kind of regional plant with the Marine Corps involved, and what kind of power that they would have over that process, specifically that plant, because again, they outweigh us, and that's something that we always have to keep in mind.
You're talking influence.
Absolutely. Influence, and at the contract that we have right now with the base, as far as capacity goes, if they can choose to give it or not give it. So far, they've chosen not to give it, right? Every time we've asked for it, there's been a reason to say no.
Right.
And again, that's not out of malice, it just is what it is. Nobody's mad about it, but it's just made us pivot on multiple occasions. And so when we get into something more broad, like a project like this, and they say, oh yeah, we'll help you build this plant, until we got into that plant, we don't know what the what-ifs are. Just to be honest, again, I can't see the Marine Corps coming outside of the base and building a plant and then saying, all right, guys, we're going to limit your capacity. Because that would be, there's nothing for them to gain there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's outside of the gate. But on the same side, again, yes, we all support our community.
You want to find out what the strings are.
Well, and again, 70% of the Marines live off base. That's great. But again, is that the Marine Corps has got a lot more stuff to worry about right now, right, than trying to help us build a plant,
Well, we did a lot of engineering work planning on putting a line across New River to go there, and that went by the wayside. A lot of money went by the wayside with the engineering work, because that's what we thought was going to happen.
Well, there's no real downside to initiating a dialogue.
1,000%. I agree with that 100%.
And I think we were a little foolish in pursuing without anything written per se. All we had was a promise. And I think we the board changed directions when we realized that we couldn't continue to dance with them on that one issue, because they were telling us no, and we had immediate needs. So I don't see us going down that same road again. I think this is an opportunity to do something a little different. I think we might have to have our congressional delegation at some point, if the base is agreeable, to help shepherd this thing through. So I don't see any real negatives for the conversation. We've already working with them regionally on water supply. I think we need to continue to work with them on the wastewater disposal side too. The county is growing. ONWASA cannot afford to bring sewer to the whole county. You got the city of Jacksonville with a large system. No interest in providing sewer for the rest of the county. Obviously, the city wants to grow, but there's some areas that ONWASA is not going to be able to economically take care of sewer. You've got the base, another large player. I don't know why they've told us no, the capacity was not available. I've always thought maybe there was something in the back of their mind for an expansion of some sort, and they didn't want to give away that capacity that they built. But I don't know where they're at on that, and maybe we'll find out The capacity is there. That's why originally they were wanting to share some of that. And then also they realized that their units were working inefficiently because they didn't have enough flow going there. So I don't see any negative at this point. If we get further down the road and it's going to be another board, it probably won't be most of us sitting here. Because as you know, the military does not move fast. Municipalities don't move fast. We as a city of Jacksonville move slow too. So, and the federal government's even worse. So,
But I haven't heard anybody say that we shouldn't have them pursue this thing. We're talking about is how concrete a letter and stuff goes out. I don't think you have a choice but to pursue it, do you?
I do want to say something, though, to answer a question that you had a while ago, when you talk about growth in different parts of the county. The reality of it is, a plant in an area like that would probably help facilitate growth and prevent overgrowth in other areas that we're seeing. Because, again, in a large part of this county, it comes down to where the land perks. And without plants or without pipes to get it there, we're going to continue to overgrow the areas that do have access to the pipe. So it wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, again, I love the thought of the dialogue. I understand where we're at. Probably too early for some of the conversation we're having. I do agree maybe the letter's not the best way to go. Maybe facilitate the conversation first, and then if they like it, then maybe turn it into something like this. But again,
My concern with the letter at this point is if we as a board approve this letter, it's not going to stay here. It is going to go up the chain of command, and we're not going to be able to stop it, even if we try to if we say, well, we want to take it local first, it won't happen. It's going to leave here, and it'll be an official letter from this board. So, and whether that really hurts our relationship locally, I don't know. That concerns me.
I don't see how, if we go to the base with the letter first, I don't see how that hurts our relationship.
A draft letter.
Call it a draft. I don't care, have a problem with a draft letter.
Locally here at the local installation base
Yeah.
level, and not 300 miles up north in DC at
Yeah,
headquarters.
let's don't send it to the Commandant. Let's send it local here, see where it goes. At some point, we might want to CC the Commandant. Maybe we CC Greg Murphy.
Congressional delegation.
The delegation, maybe we do at some point, but I think we need to go local first.
So I like that. I mean, I like what the letter says. Maybe we just change the address on it. What do you think?
Has already been informed about wanting to do this.
That's right.
So it's already there with him.
It's been brought there, but not from
us.
this board,
And
right?
not formal.
I have one other question about it, though. Do you feel like we need a resolution support from each of the partners in this before we do something like this? Because as you say, once we start the ball rolling,
Right.
and if the ball is favorably continued to roll, do we need the support of the municipalities, or do we just need this board's authority?
Well, I like the idea of having all of the municipalities agree to it and sign off
No
on the
outliers.
letter.
Well, that's true. If they sign the letter, then I guess that's the buy-in.
Right. So it makes it look more unified and regional if everybody will agree to it. I don't know that they will, because I wanted to get this board's opinion and this board's approval before I go to the towns and ask them to
Okay,
agree
so
to it.
you are planning on going,
My thought was, if this board says, we want to pursue it in this direction, then I'll contact whoever I need to at the municipalities and try to get buy-in from them.
You can be on our agenda anytime you want. No, I'm serious. I mean, it's an important
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
And I'll add, the CPG group that Joe had recommended putting together typically includes elected officials from each town, like the mayors and then the chairman from the county. So if we're going to that group.
Yeah, but I think
they
Royce is
have the
right.
mayor.
Royce wants to get ahead of it. You don't want outliers on
Right. I
this.
didn't want to go out to the towns and ask them to agree to a letter that this board doesn't agree to.
So this has just come about recently, so would it be
has.
prudent just to table this until you have got input from the towns and all of what direction we might be wanting to go into?
Let me give my reaction, and you give yours. My reaction would be, I don't like that for a different reason. One, you just kicked it down the road. The second thing, it's already going to be out that this is, anybody that's looking at this is already going to have it. So if the board by consensus says, we would like to go down this path, okay, and that path includes getting buy-in from the towns, isn't that the logical
I mean, the
step?
letter, as I read it, simply says, you know, we want support in trying to get help from the federal government on two different pathways. So I don't see why
I think
that
all we're
would be
asking
an
for is
objection.
to have a conversation and maybe a cup of coffee with the conversation.
Right,
I think that's
right.
what we're asking for at the end of the day.
But you feel it'd be good for you to have no
Well, I don't-
outliers among the towns on this too, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to go to the towns and ask for support for something that this board doesn't support. So,
I think consensus of the board, I may have to take a vote, but, you know, realizing that we're not really binding our municipalities until such a time as
Sign off.
they agree. That gives Greg a chance to talk to his folks if he's concerned about the support. You know, I've talked to city staff, but I've not talked to the elected officials. I don't know how that's going to be done in the city of Jacksonville, whether they're going to need council buy-in or whether they just say, you know, the city staff is, you know, the city manager,
I mean,
okay.
I'd put it before
Yeah.
our board, just to get a consensus vote.
but if this board would adopt a motion tonight that we're going to pursue this letter and present it to our local officials at the base and pursue that path from here, wherever it goes, I think you can change up the letter a little bit and send it out to everybody to take a look at. I don't know, I mean, if we can approve the body of the letter, pretty much, then I think it's pretty easy to change who it's addressed to. And I'll take that letter and we'll go. I mean, we don't have to have the town's approval to do this.
Yeah, but it helps.
But I just think it would be better if we can all agree that we're going to make this, it's a pretty big ask. I mean, if we're asking.
So you're saying approve the letter in whatever format we want, and then your next step would go to the towns and then garner that support and then
Yeah.
proceed forward.
Right.
He's not planning on sending a letter until we get signatures on
You
it.
understood?
Right,
That's the point.
right.
It's just the
And
first
I
step.
don't know, I mean, if one of the towns doesn't need to sign, doesn't want to sign it, that doesn't mean that we don't pursue the funding.
You want to know that on the front end, though.
But I would love to have everybody in support.
I'm not saying that, I'm saying we need to find out what we're going to do and how we're going to do it before we decide to do it. I mean, it's like we're going to pass it and then we're going to read it. You know, it's sort of like the federal government does. Know what is going to be in it and then us decide that's what we want to do. I'm just saying table it till we know exactly what we want to say and what we want to do.
I would rather see us, I think I'm with Rick, I would rather see us say, we're going to take the letter, and Frankie and Royce are going to go to each of the individual municipalities and share and see what kind of concerns they have and start working towards getting approval for them to sign the letters
I mean,
before
the
we.
letter's here in our packet. We've got the letter. I'm not suggesting any changes to the letter, and just to the letterhead, basically. We can mark out who we're going to send it to
Yeah.
and start locally instead of going straight to the commandant, which is what the letter says.
What's your point, though? And back to your point is, you get approval on the letter, you go out and you talk to the towns before you physically send the letter.
Right. Yeah. Give each of the municipalities a chance to review it and make a decision before we ever send a letter out to the base.
And there's still, I think, some value in meeting with that CPG group, even in a draft letter format, right? To say that this is what we're working on, and we may, from what we learned from that, tweak it even more.
Is that the one that just reached out to you?
Right,
Yeah.
the local command.
Well, you got to respond back to them,
Right,
so.
right.
If I can say something.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
I think that's probably our best bet. I can tell you, I don't appreciate going above and coming back down. It's always better start at the bottom and go up.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you from experience on that part, when this was being formed. I do think you need to start local. I'm glad they formed a group that we can sit down and have conversation, because we got to build a relationship. That's what we got to do here. And having the municipalities to help us in building that relationship, I think would be a great step forward before we send it to them. But I do think you need to let them know that we're going to do that. Because if you don't, then again, we're going up and back down.
Oh, to your point also, it's going to leak out anyway, so.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's already, it's out there now.
Discussion, they're going to know what we talked about.
I will ask this if you don't mind, because I mean, I'm just curious, since the conversation started outside of this board, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
But we got a letter in front of us. How did we land on the site in paragraph 6? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Frankie, the site in 6.
The site,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
was that just, I mean, the conversation came up that we could use a plant somewhere, and then when it was brought to our attention, we were like, well, yeah, maybe in this area would be great. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did we land on that?
We're talking about
you're talking
replacing the gallons that
Yeah.
that they had.
So just to clarify on that, because it's actually part of our CIP. So the infrastructure we already have in place from the Swansboro plant is in Parkertown, the disposal part of that. We have 200 acres plus there. That's part of that infrastructure. So internally, we've discussed if we were to place a plant outside of the base to sort through what we need, Huber area is central to our region.
I got you.
We've got the northeast region. So that's where we come up with that.
This is where
location.
you build it.
Yeah, that's where we evaluated it back in 2017. We looked at that location. Wooten came up with estimates for putting the plant out there versus renovating the Swansboro plant versus doing the pipeline. So we're just going back to some of those initial studies since the work's already been done out there. And then
Got you.
that's how we come up with that.
What do you need, Chairman?
So does somebody want to make a motion to proceed with this letter presented to our municipalities and eventually to the base officials to move forward?
So moved.
You're assuming the base, the municipalities are going to say yes.
But that, to be honest with you,
That would be the assumption, but I don't.
right. I think to your point, the feedback we would get, I'm making this up. If it was a 3-2 vote or a 2-3 vote, they're going to come back to us and say, maybe we need to rethink this, we can get 5-0. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, if a bunch
If everybody says no, he's going to come back
If a bunch
to
of
us.
municipalities don't like it, then I'll we can
I guess I
back
just
off.
assumed that, right?
But I don't know any reason why, really, this is an ONWASA issue. It's not the town's issue.
Right.
The only reason that I would like to go to the town is because we need to present a unified.
Goodwill.
Right, goodwill and a unified approach to this thing. I feel like we got more horsepower if we've got everybody in the county pushing us in the same
Absolutely.
direction.
No, it's true.
So-
That's true.
And I agree, it's not a town issue, but I've got to answer to that town.
Sure.
Because they're the ones that appoint me, so.
Right. Everybody on here has two hats.
That's right.
You know, the board hat as well as we represent our municipality. So we've got to satisfy both sides.
Of course, yeah.
I'm sure.
But I think the process he laid out does that, right?
Yeah. And I'm confident that my town would go with whatever that we wanted to do here tonight, but I do like the option of taking it to them and letting them just voice their opinion. I mean, I just like that.
Part of,
I agree.
Tony mentioned it, relationships. Here's a chance for ONWASA to continue to
Start
strengthen
building a
relationship
strong
with our member municipalities.
Yes.
Also, why would we want to start a fight with the municipalities before we get the buy-in? I mean, you want them to love the thing before you start.
If it's good for Jacksonville, or if it's good for Holly Ridge, it's
Good for
the
you,
rest.
that's just.
It's good for everybody else. I mean, that's the way
Exactly.
we got to approach it.
Exactly.
And I'll just highlight, because I know we've got Jacksonville membership here, but Jacksonville is really the municipality with the most skin in the game here, because we share that contract with Jacksonville, and we actually had to reduce their flow because of our reduction at the base.
Right.
So initially, we had this conversation, it was definitely Jacksonville that we wanted to get signed off on it. But it'd be best to have everybody sort of in unison, but just to point that out.
You got a motion?
Okay, so we do have a motion. Did we have a second?
A second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. And the motion is to proceed with the letter as drafted. Excuse me.
Would you like to consider the letter as drafted with Director Herbert's suggested changes? That is not the letter that is in your agenda packet. It's
As
the minor
modified.
changes.
As suggested by him, yes.
Yeah, we made some edits to the statistics that Herbert shared.
Just
I
some
see,
numerical
yeah.
data that is more current.
Right, okay. So,
And give the chairman and the CEO the authority to make those changes.
okay. And we'll, yeah.
Do we got to modify our motion or anything like that? Amend our motion?
I think so. I think Rick made the motion. You want to modify the motion as
Yes,
presented?
as I just said, yes.
And
As amended.
Director
So,
Morgan
yeah,
as
the
well.
motion to approve the process outlined by the chairman with giving the chairman and the CEO the authority to modify the letter as discussed by the board,
Okay. Is that
et
clear
cetera,
enough?
et cetera, et cetera.
It's a whole lot less confusing than it was 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, but the minutes
Well,
will read well.
look, y'all, this has been a good discussion, and I really appreciate your input on this one, because I'm certainly not, I'm not the military savvy, person here. But, okay, so we have a motion and a second. If we can vote, and all in favor, say aye.
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 And we have a opposition? No opposition, okay. Well, I appreciate it if you guys can start talking this up then with your local towns, and I will certainly
I'll send you an
reach out.
email. Can I get
Reach
you on
out
the
and
board in August?
offer to go to your town meetings, and talk to your boards about this, if that's what you want.
Yes.
And I will make myself available to do that.
Good.
Phew,
We
all
can
right.
put you on the agenda in August.
That's where, I'm writing myself a note, so I do that.
Don't give me double book now.
I don't think we meet at the same
What nights are
time.
yours on?
Wednesday and hers 11 o'clock.
Yours on Tuesday. Oh, yours is daytime.
We had them at 6 and nobody showed up.
Ours is 11:50, we did 11 o'clock.
I don't remember. Okay, we're going to move on, y'all, to item G, Mr. Howard.
Okay, last item we have here for consideration is basically an authorization to publish a notice for a proposed sign location lease. This is out on our property that we recently acquired at 135 Church Road in Hubert. This property we inherited a billboard out there basically, and in order to meet the requirements of their lease as it was presented, talking to Brett, it needs to go through the advertisement process. So that's what we're asking for tonight, is to post that so that we can be compliant with the terms of the lease. So we'll be bringing it back to the board for final approval, but this is just to get it posted. Any questions on that?
Quick question about the proposed lease. I noticed it was for 10 years, is that correct?
That's
Is
what they
Is that
did.
fairly standard for something like this?
I think so, based on the infrastructure they got in place, perhaps, and the cost of putting those signs up.
And I believe the staff actually looked at other
Yeah.
billboard companies, and this was
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. Yep, we did. We pulled some other ones up for the cost anyway, for that
Thank you.
side of it, yes.
Is there a rent escalation? Does it go up in
Ooh,
years? or-
I'm not sure. That's a grand question.
There's if you look at the last attachment, or it's the last page, the additional rent, essentially what happens in this is if they make money off of the billboard, then you can actually have more rent. It just sets the floor. So this sets the floor of the billboard. Now,
How do you determine if they're making money off the sign?
I was
Yeah,
going to
they
ask
are-
the same thing.
there's a,
Because you're getting $1,200, $2,500 bucks.
That's right. Yep. We have the ability to audit the records,
Yeah.
but I get your point.
Value added to the property we purchased, so we're just trying to capitalize on it, I guess. So
Could you put up a cell phone tower too?
we might. I don't know. It's mighty close to
That's a
that.
moneymaker.
And it's not a problem to anything that we could conceivably ever do to that property.
No.
All right, can we get a motion to,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on to the public comment. Nobody? Okay. Mr. CEO, you're up.
Yes, I appreciate everybody again. You're all aware we had a pretty large leak down in Swansboro this week, so I just wanted to commend staff for jumping right on that and getting it knocked out. I actually was scheduled to be down at the town hall and speak that evening, so it was very timely. I think the town probably thought that I was trying to get out of going down to the meeting and speak, so we staged a leak down there. But we had a contractor hit a 8-inch water main square in the middle and bored a hole right through it. So obviously that caused a little bit of a disruption in water service down there. But again, staff jumped right on it. I think it happened around 4:30 in the morning. There are time restrictions. That's why that contractor has to work after hours on Highway 24. We have to do the same thing. But anyway, I spoke to the town board, had a good conversation with them. I appreciate the invite, and I offer that up to any other municipality if you need me to come out and speak and do an update. Glad to do it. We've talked about the base a little bit, so I just wanted to say that we continue to work with the base. In fact, we're partnering in what they call the MER study, the resiliency study, something the county and the city of Jacksonville had jointly went after a grant. And so we've been invited to participate in those meetings, and we talk about how we have infrastructure around the base and how we can look to make it better and help the base be more resilient. And so this type of conversation about the wastewater capacity is also a conversation we have at that group. And so we're trying to identify as many things in that meeting that will help with future requests like we're talking about this evening. So actually mentioned a change of command already too, so I plan on going to that and get those invites from the base. So I think my schedule will allow, and I talked to Royce too, so hopefully we'll both go to that event next week for the assumption of command, actually, I think in this case. So looking forward to that. Also continue to work with the county. I think we're having some great conversation on moving that county maintenance agreement for our heavy equipment and diesel equipment. I think you guys are going to talk about it at your workshop this coming month. So we're excited to get that going. I actually hosted the managers last month. We have our monthly managers meeting amongst the managers across the county. So always a good time to be a part of that group. And just as a personal note, I started my year as the Rotary president here at the Jacksonville Rotary Club, took over the big shoes of former president DeSelms here. So excited to get that year under my belt. So that's all I
Isn't that a
had.
form of nepotism or something?
I think so, yeah. They should be handpicking those replacements. So, no, I appreciate Royce inviting me to that club. It's been a good experience. So, all right. That's all I had. Thank you, sir.
That it?
Yep.
All right. Let's see, we got some comments. Mr. Warden,
No comments.
Mr. Bittner?
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, ain't that a fact? Wow. Mr. Herbert?
If I may, a couple comments. Wanted to thank Frankie for coming down Tuesday evening for briefing the town, the Board of Commissioners. We had a good crowd. It was about 20 minutes of, I call it the WIFM, what's in it for me, for Swansboro when it comes to ONWASA, and you did a fantastic job, a lot of good comments afterwards, and so we really appreciate that. And I think that gets right after as we talk about continuing to build that habitual relationship between ONWASA and the municipalities. And to the ONWASA team across the board, from Swansboro, thank you. As Frankie said, I left for work at 6:30, and the team was right there on Highway 24. I passed them, cones were out, and they were isolating the issue. Messaging was put out by ONWASA mid-morning. I think at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had the issue fixed, and you were bleeding the lines, the teams out there. And when an event like this happens, it takes people away from their scheduled work. So wherever they were supposed to be on Tuesday, we reacted, we were flexible, and we came to an issue that was impacting a large portion of the town, businesses and homeowners and so forth. So we really appreciate what the team did for us on Tuesday. Can't say enough about that. And Jerry hit the nail on the head. Just a quick plug for staying hydrated out there. The dog days of summer are upon us. I don't think it's going to get any cooler in July or August. So to the teams out there, please be careful. Keep an eye on each other. We see this on base all the time, heat-related injuries. So please keep an eye on each other and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Paget?
I don't have any comment except thank everyone for what they do, and it pays off. We hear it across the county, or I do. I hear a lot, and y'all do a great job. So just keep it up, best you can.
Mr. Hines?
I got just a couple of things. First, Frankie, what the Wachovia track, as far as the sale of it, where are we at on that? Is the buyer anywhere close to?
I think what I was told, that sometime in 27 is when the anticipated closing of that is. I think they did an extension. Joe Ed's sort of in the driver's seat of that. They're the ones that requested the option, and they gave it to this developer. So I think one of the things that sort of maybe slowed it down a little bit is they're trying to negotiate a school site out of the parcel, which really doesn't have anything to do with us as long as we get paid the amount of money that was in the option. So I think in 27 is when that agreement is supposed to be executed. I know at one time we were talking about doing it in phases, but I think our agreement requires it to be all one lump amount for the total acreage. So.
And all the timber's been cut, it's going to be.
So I think we initiated the last timber sale, which generated roughly $500,000 in timber sales for that Pender County side. So that was the last of the mature timber on the site.
It's all pine, isn't it?
And, talk about staff and hydration. I told my board the other night at our meeting that, the ones outside doing that work, I really have sympathy for them because it's over 100 degrees and they're out there in that, our guys cutting the grass in town and all. It's, it's hard. It's just, you can't thank them enough for the dedication they are to be out there. Our staff is the same way here at ONWASA. The other item I got, one of our employees, Miss Tammy, who's the sweetest lady I know that answers the phone and all, it's her birthday, and so I wanted to wish her a happy birthday. And I think the rest of the board probably feels the same way. And then closing, Miss Jeanette, I'm glad you're watching us.
Greg, you reminded me, I forgot to put it on my list, but it's my father's 70th birthday today, so I appreciate it.
Well, happy birthday to your father, too. 70th.
70th, yeah.
Great day.
He's a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Secretary Grant?
I used up my time before. Thanks, everybody, for what you guys do. And Frankie, we do notice you got a lot more gray in that beard.
Starting to get, I need to trim it back a little bit so it doesn't show up as much.
Mr. Vice Chair?
Man, I really appreciate what we do on this board. I really do. I like being a part of it. This is as close to being a county commissioner as I want to get. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest, I mean, really, this is, my town gave me this opportunity, and this opportunity gives me a chance to help the rest of the community, and I, don't take it lightly. And I do think moving forward, we're going to have to do everything we can do to expand our public partnerships. We're going to have to do things to expand our private partnerships to get our citizens these resources. I mean, water we got, but sewer, that's a big thing because, again, that's why we see the development like we see it in spots. So anyway, I just want to say thank you, guys. I want to say thank you to the staff and to these two dudes selling water at the end of the table with their little "Stay Hydrated" slogan.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I got a couple things. I've got the kudos to the staff. The water leak in Swansboro, they were right on it. And I got a lot of positive comments about the reaction from ONWASA to the water leak. So I thank you guys for all you did out there. I think you were out there in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So I really appreciate that. And the groundbreaking at the Southeast plant, great event. We enjoyed it. It was put together very nicely. I think that was a lot of Heather's doing. No, not taking credit. Whoever was in charge of that, we really appreciated it. It was great.
Mark and his staff out of the plant did a lot, so.
Yeah, all right. And finally, I've been concerned for years about all of the properties that ONWASA leases from Onslow County, and it looks like the deeds are about ready to be transferred from Onslow County to ONWASA, which is going to make it a whole lot easier for us when we go out to borrow money to the LGC. It's going to clean up our books a lot. I think I'll be going to the commissioners with the final approval in the next few weeks. And I'm looking forward to getting that behind us and getting those properties into ONWASA's name. And I encourage our local municipalities to consider doing the same. And I think that's all I have. I appreciate everything.
Did you move into, did I miss it? Did you already do mine? Okay.
They didn't have anything to say.
Oh, they went by real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say about the, you mentioned, everybody mentioned all the workers need to be hydrated. What about us retired guys who don't work?
Oh, yeah.
While we're sitting there in air conditioning,
Drink water on the golf course.
It's hot on that golf course, I'm telling you, it's tough out there. Y'all just don't know.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for being here and all of your work, and I appreciate your input on this letter. I really do. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
In a second. We're adjourned.
Thank you.